dynamic energy of one of the most accomplished musicians of our time, Carlos Santana. Oneness Tour 2025, Friday, April 18th, Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater. Take a trip through the hits from Woodstock to Supernatural and beyond. On sale now at LiveNation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
The Renaissance Festival is back. Weekends now through March 30th. Be ready to have a great time. Amazing adventure awaits the entire family. New shows, shopping, jousting nights, non-stop feasting. Leave your cares behind. Happiness reigns at the Renaissance Festival. It's fun and affordable. You'll love the Renaissance. Visit now through March 30th. Discount tickets available at Bashers' and Food City or online at arizona.renfestinfo.com. Presented by Delta Airlines, Bashers', Food City, Pepsi, Budweiser, and Guinness. Huzzah!
If you're tired of struggling to lose weight, Red Mountain Weight Loss has the solution. Discover the power of semaglutide and tirzepatide, the breakthrough GLP-1 medications that are transforming lives. You'll lose up to 15 pounds a month without feeling hungry or deprived. That's huge because it makes it easier for you to lose weight. And that's what we do. At Red Mountain, our doctors specialize in medical weight loss. We've helped people lose weight for over 30 years now, and we can help you too with quality GLP medications that cost less than half the price of Ozempic. Visit us in person, online, or skip the doctor visits altogether, and we'll ship the medication direct to your door. For a limited time, you can save $100 on any GLP-1 program and get our lowest prices of the year. Find your weight loss solution and lose up to 15 pounds by this time next month at Red Mountain Weight Loss. Go to redmountainweightloss.com. That's redmountainweightloss.com.
Hi, Luis Gonzalez here. Want to bet? Feel the thrill of Casino Arizona with 1,400 of the hottest slots and nonstop table game action. We make winners, no experience necessary. Join us for the best bingo in the valley with daily sessions. Indulge in all-you-can-eat Eagles buffet or enjoy fine dining experience at the award.
All right, you're on in 30.
Local entertainment, tribute bands, and viewing parties at CAZ Sports Bar, just off the 101 in McKellips. Casino, Arizona, uniquely Arizona.
Superstar Car Wash presents Random Acts of Super. Today, we're hooking you up with a free Super Protect car wash. Just text DESERT to 2780.
On in 10.
Stay clean, superstars. Terms and conditions apply.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KF
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live.
Air trip comes to an end. The Cardinals make another free agency signing. All of that and more on today's edition of the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Always on the KDUS AM 1060 app. And for those of you that want to see the show, you can do so via the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel. We are live there every single day when we are on the air doing the lunch break. A disappointing result last night. The Suns finished their road trip 1-3. That's where we'll start today's program. $111 to 104. As the Suns finish up a 4-game road trip in which they go 1-3. 1-3. We asked before the season started, or before this road trip started, I should say, hey, can you win me 2 games?
Can you beat Dallas and steal one other game? Denver, Memphis, Houston. And when looking at these 3 games, you probably thought this was the game that was the easiest one to get. Denver on the road at altitude right after you came back from a 23-point deficit against the Los Angeles Clippers. You now have to travel to Denver, go to altitude, take on the Denver Nuggets. You have another comeback in that game. That one didn't feel like it was going to be the one that you stole. Memphis, the second game of a back-to-back after you just played Dallas, that always felt like it was going to be a tough one. This one felt like the one of the 3 that you were going to steal. This is the one that you could have stolen. And last night, despite the score telling us If you woke up this morning and didn't watch a single second of the game, you look at that box score and you say, well, the Suns were in it. Only a 7-point loss on the road in Houston. Let me tell you, they never stood a chance in this basketball game. Not a single moment watching this game last night did I feel like the Phoenix Suns were going to win. It felt lethargic. It felt sluggish. I've said this before, but it bears repeating because I felt it again last night. Every single thing that the Phoenix Suns do on both ends of the floor feels difficult. It feels hard. It feels like it takes max effort for them to do anything well. Offensively, it feels like making that extra pass is pulling teeth. To get a max effort defensive stop feels like it's the hardest thing in the world. Everything is difficult. Every rebound, every made shot, every good defensive possession, and there aren't many. It just feels like it is the most excruciating thing that the Phoenix Suns could do. Everything's hard. Everything's difficult for a team that had Bradley Beal again last night. Did you watch that game and feel like you watched Kevin Durant slowly kind of run out of gas? Did you see the best Devin Booker performance last night? We've warned you about this. Day after day here on the program, these minutes are adding up. Big time minutes against the Clippers to make that comeback. You knew what it was going to look like in Denver. They played big minutes in that game as they went to overtime. They had, last night, 37 minutes for both Durant and Booker. At some point, this is going to catch up, and last night it did. Bradley Beal, the leading scorer. At one point watching this game, and I'll be the first person to admit, I kind of started to drift a little bit in the second half. I started to drift towards, all right, I'm going to make dinner. I'm going to start focusing on just other things because this wasn't happening. And there was at one point in the game, normally you can kind of feel if a guy's having a good night or a bad night. You can kind of feel like, okay, maybe I don't have the box score directly in front of me, but I know that KD's probably got like 25 or 30 by this point in the game. Legitimately, there was one point in the second half where Devin Booker got fouled and he was going to the free throw line. And I knew they were going to put up the graphic of how many points he had scored. And this probably says more about me than it says anything else. I was alone last night. Nobody was in the house. Everybody was out and about. And I just had the two dogs with me while I was watching the game. And I turned and out loud to the dogs, I said, I don't know how many points Devin Booker has. Like I was just talking to myself into the ether of, I don't think Devin Booker's having a good night tonight, but I can't tell you how many points he scored. He seemed non-existent. Kevin Durant, 37 years old. Every single night, can't rely on him to be Superman. He tried to be Superman the other night against Memphis. Came up short. These minutes are too much. These minutes are coming back to haunt this team. We're going to talk a little bit later on in the program. They have a stretch that's going to start tomorrow. It is a 4-game stretch. This is it. This is last chance saloon for this team. This 4-game stretch will determine everything. Because it is the last 4-game stretch where you can twist your brain into a pretzel to convince yourself that they can win some basketball games. Because after it, there's not a single game that you're going to expect or think this team can win. When they're playing Boston, when they're playing Cleveland, I think they have another game against Oklahoma City. They've got the Knicks in there as well. There's a stretch of games where you're going to just hope that they don't go on a massive 10-game losing streak. They have a stretch coming up. That is it. It is a 4-game stretch that will determine everything. And I watched this game last night. And I'll tell you the exact moment that I knew this game wasn't going to go the Suns' way. Mason Plumlee and Steven Adams get into it. And Mason Plumlee is not just face-to-face because he's headbutting Steven Adams. They are forehead to forehead. And Steven Adams does what Steven Adams does, and he's got Mason Plumlee kind of wrapped up, and he pulls a UFC takedown on Mason Plumlee, and so they're on the floor. They both get ejected. But Mason Plumlee does something that, let's face it, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but let's just tell the truth. Mason Plumlee did something in that game last night that nobody else on the Suns has done all year. Name me the time that somebody else has done something like that. Gotten face-to-face with somebody. Maybe Kevin Durant the other night against Memphis. Maybe. But it wasn't the way Mason Plumlee was playing with the physicality. After the game, Mason talked about wanting to bring that physicality because it's just something that the Suns don't bring on a regular basis. He brought that physicality, right? Gets taken down by Steven Adams. And you're thinking to yourself, this is it. This is the moment in the game where this is going to spark the Phoenix Suns. They're going to rally around Mason Plumlee after he just got ejected. Now, you played right into the hands of Houston last night because Mason Plumlee gets ejected. You don't have Nick Richards, so it's a whole lot of Oso Ighodaro and Bol at the 5, and we saw how well that went. But Mason Plumlee gets ejected from this basketball game, and instead of it being a rallying cry, instead of it being the motivating force that normally those plays are, it was a nothing burger. Those plays are supposed to provide juice to you. Supposed to provide energy. It's supposed to be that wake-up call of, hey, let's get this into gear here. You see how hard Mason's playing right now? He just got ejected. Let's rally the troops. Let's get our stuff together. Probably some different language being used than I can use here on the show, but we'll keep it PG. And let's go. Let's play basketball. But no, the response by the Phoenix Suns after that happened proved everything that has been said about this team and their toughness, their physicality, their effort level. There's a word that gets thrown around in sports that I think gets thrown around too casually, and it is a word that you just don't use when talking about the effort level of a basketball team or any athlete in general. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to use the word, but you know the word I'm thinking of. Starts with an S. I'm not going to use it, but boy, did the Suns look like it last night because you didn't respond to what Mason Plumlee tried to bring to you. Forehead to forehead. Not backing down from the challenge that was Steven Adams. Okay, we've been getting pushed around all season long, and Mason talked about that after the game. Getting pushed around all season long. Now I'm going to push back. I'm not backing down. Let's go, Steven. You want to go? Here I am. And the Suns didn't respond at all to it. That was it. The game was over right there. It was over. The fact that that wasn't used as a rallying cry, the fact that that wasn't used as something to get everybody in lockstep, effort level on the defensive end, the physicality on the defensive end, providing that the moment that that didn't galvanize the group last night was the moment that the game was over. That was it. There it is. Sometimes in a basketball game or in sports, you can circle one play, one moment that is the difference maker. It was that. That told me everything I needed to know about this Phoenix Suns basketball team. You've been getting pushed around all year long. Teams have been doing this to you all year long. They've just been poking you and poking you and poking you and poking you. And you know the phrase, poking the bear. The Suns are not a bear because they haven't poked back. They haven't responded. Haven't done it. They've just been poked and poked and poked. Last night, Mason Plumlee tried to poke back. He tried to be the proverbial bear in the analogy of poking the bear. And what did it do? Absolutely nothing. That game last night opened the door to a whole host of questions for me. A whole host of them. Some of which we're going to answer today or we're going to try to answer today here on the program. This team couldn't find a spark in a game that a teammate tried to give them that spark, tried to hand it to them on a silver platter. Here is the spark that this team has been looking for all year long. Here it is. Here you go. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so you end the road trip 1-3. You end the road trip with a whimper. You're going to be back at it again tomorrow night. See, you're lucky that Dallas lost to San Antonio last night, or else the lead would have grown to 3.5 games back of Dallas. You would have been 3 back of them in the loss column. You're lucky because now we can try to pretend that you're still kind of in this. We can pretend that mathematically there's a chance for you. We can try to run the numbers of, how many wins do we need to get there? And, the schedule coming up is nice for us. We get to continue to play this charade through the middle of next week. Great. Looking forward to it. I'm sure you are too. Because if Dallas would have won last night and you would have lost, over, done. Lead would have been too big and zero expectations that you're going to be able to close that gap. And all you have to do is tie them because you have the tiebreaker over them. But not going to happen. Not going to happen if they are going to get pushed around the way they did last night. And again, it's nothing new. They've been getting pushed around like this all season long. The difference, somebody tried to push back last night, and it didn't provide a spark. You see this all across sports. Somebody lays that big hit in football, sparks the defense a little bit. Maybe some chippiness after the play, a late hit out of bounds. Now all of a sudden everybody's pushing and shoving, and now the offense goes, oh, really? You're going to do that to our quarterback? Watch us dominate you up front on the offensive line. It can be that rallying cry, those types of moments. And last night, it wasn't a rallying cry. It wasn't a spark. It was a blip. It was a whimper. Didn't do anything. Your season's on the line. Your chance of being a play-in tournament team is on the line. Do you care? Do you want it? Because that's supposed to be the moment that gives it to you last night. And it didn't happen. Also, Ryan Dunn makes an appearance last night. Oso plays some more. Bol plays some more. There was at one point a lineup that had Ryan Dunn and Bol and Oso and Kevin Durant. It was a very weird lineup from Coach Bud. And you saw that it didn't really gel because the guys aren't getting consistent playing time. Imagine what happens when you don't get your young players who maybe could provide a spark to you consistent playing time. But no, got to keep running Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal out there for 30-plus minutes a night. Got to do it. A disappointing road trip. But it shouldn't be surprising because we've seen this all year long. Your phone call is always welcome, 480-864-1060 to hop into the show at any point today. We've also got you on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. You can share your thoughts in the live chat over there as well. Coming up on the other side of the break, finally, the Cardinals make a move along the interior of their defensive line. So we ask the question again, have they done enough? It's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Dan Patrick and the Danettes, and more on the Dan Patrick Show weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
You don't need lunch. You need a lunch miracle. You need Peter Piper Pizza's lunch buffet starting at $9.99. Think about it. A dozen people, 15 lunch ideas, and only an hour to eat? Lunch miracle to the rescue. Peter Piper Pizza's lunch buffet has fun and deliciousness served fresh. Choose from pizzas, pastas, salads, and desserts starting at $9.99 a person. The next time you need a lunchtime miracle on a weekday between 11 and 2, look no further. At Peter Piper Pizza, the fun is baked in.
The legacy continues. Pantera. The heaviest tour of the summer. What did you say? Tearing up Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, August 26th. With Amon Amarth. On sale now at LiveNation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Picture this. A family trusts a lawyer after their father has been seriously injured. And then they're told there's no way to win his case, and they'll have to take care of him with no support.
And that would have been the end of the story because they hired the wrong lawyer. Fortunately, they called us to the husband-wife law team. We were able to use our years of expertise to uncover evidence previously missed and guarantee they could change their father's life forever.
Do your research after a serious injury. Call the husband-wife law team first.
Ever wonder what happens when nitro meets fire? It's lightning in a bottle. Thunder rolls in your chest. It's where ambition meets asphalt. Where some dreams are made and others go up in smoke. It's an experience like no other.
See for yourself March 21st through 23rd at the NHRA Arizona Nationals at Firebird Motorsports Park, where every ticket is a pit pass and kids under 12 and parking are free with general admission. The NHRA Arizona Nationals, March 21st through 23rd.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. Not to honk from the West Coast, but credit where credit is due. The freaking Lakers are streaking. Zion Williamson absolutely abused them in the paint, going off for 37, and it still did not matter. And the reason it didn't matter is because that dude from the second floor, Luka Doncic, is running wild as a Laker. He's already doing things that only the greatest Lakers ever have done. like getting nice with 30 points and 15 assists last night. The only other Lakers to do that are Magic, Jerry West, and LeBron, and the dude from the second floor did it in just
9 times.
9 times.
9
games, but it looks and feels like Luka and LeBron have been running together for 10 years. Shoot, LeBron looks and plays like he's 10 years younger. That's all Luka. And to quote every single Laker fan, thank you, Nico. Thank you, Nico.
Thank you, Nico.
Oh, and you have any other generational talents lying around that you just want to give to the Lakers, Nico? I'm Jim Rome.
O'Reilly.
If you're a do-it-yourselfer, don't miss Power Torque Tools DIY days at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, save $20 on a Power Torque 248-piece mechanics tool set. O Rewards members get a $5 reward. Power Torque professional hand tools come with a lifetime guarantee. Visit your O'Reilly Auto Parts store or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Have you downloaded the KTUS 1060 app yet? Download today and get all of your favorite local and national shows right on your phone.
Back into the lunch break. You're on KDUS AM 1060. The Cardinals, after being a little quiet after their big splash with pass rusher Josh Sweat, they made a move last night. Monty Ossenfort reminding everybody, I'm still here. I'm still actively trying to make this team better. Don't worry. And they added somebody along the interior of their defensive line. They added former Cleveland Brown Dalvin Tomlinson on a 2-year deal, I believe, that will see him here for the next couple of seasons on the interior of that defensive line. The 31-year-old former second-round pick of the Giants in 2017 was with the Browns last year, and he was a cap casualty. This isn't a case of somebody getting cut because he was bad or because the team just didn't want him anymore. They paid Myles Garrett a ton of money. They needed to free up that cap space, and so he was released yesterday by the Browns. The last 2 seasons started all 32 games in which he played. Now, over 2 seasons, let's do some quick math. 17 times 2, 34. So 32 of a possible 34 games he played in, started all 32 games that he was active for. 6 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 30 quarterback hits. Started 125 games in his career, playing 16 games in every season but 1. And in that 1 season, he played 13 games. This checks a lot of boxes when it comes to the interior of the defensive line. Here's a veteran, somebody who's been there, done that, somebody who provides some stability, good against the run, gets after the quarterback, has created some quarterback pressures, some quarterback hits, some quarterback sacks. And again, the only reason why he was available, the only reason why the Cardinals were able to swoop in here and offer him a 2-year deal, $16 million guaranteed, a maximum value of $29 million. The only reason why that was able to happen is because the Browns needed to create some space. That's it. In an ideal world, he would be back with the Browns next season. So this is a really nice move by the Arizona Cardinals. They added that outside pass rusher with Josh Sweat. They now add somebody along the defensive line, the interior of the defensive line. Dalvin Tomlinson had 36 pressures last season. That would have been the best of anybody that was on the Cardinals. Can you say upgrade? Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, that is an immediate upgrade to this team. And so maybe we were a little harsh yesterday asking if free agency was going to pass the Cardinals by. They ended up making a move later in the day on day 3 of free agency, waiting for Dalvin Tomlinson to officially be released by the Browns. Again, none of those releases, those cuts, could be made official until 4 p.m. Eastern yesterday. So you couldn't go out and get any of these guys. You couldn't even talk to them because they weren't officially cut or released yet. The new league year started at 1 p.m. yesterday. I didn't see as many, if any, Happy New Year tweets. So good on everybody for not getting involved with that yesterday. But the Cardinals add somebody along the interior of the defensive line. So before the offseason started, we said, hey, get an edge pass rusher. Hey, need some help along the interior of the defensive line. Hey, what is your interior of your offensive line going to look like? Hey, you need another wide receiver. While you're looking, I would probably consider getting a backup quarterback. Those were the things on the laundry list for us this offseason for the Arizona Cardinals. That was it. That was what we thought the laundry list should be for this team. They went out and got a pass rusher in Josh Sweat, added a couple linebackers to a linebacker group that lost some talent in free agency, so replacing those guys. Got a backup quarterback in Jacoby Brissett, brought back the guys along the interior of the offensive line, brought back your swing tackle in Kelvin Beachum, brought back those guys that you're familiar with. There's continuity with those guys. That's a key word. We'll talk about that a little bit later on here this hour of the show. Then they went out yesterday and got an interior defensive lineman in Dalvin Tomlinson. And from a defensive perspective, I'm thrilled. I love what they've done. Josh Sweat, the best edge pass rusher available. Go out and get him. I know it was an up and down year last year. I look at how guys thrive in the big pressure moments. Look at how he played in the Super Bowl. Look at how he played when the lights were the brightest, the stage was the biggest, the stakes were the highest that you're going to have. He's trying to stop a three-peat. And he played extremely well. 2.5 sacks, helped force an interception, played very well. And now he's coming to a system with a coach that he's extremely familiar with. I don't know how you can't be thrilled with that move. And it is at a price, like I explained yesterday, that is just a home run for this team compared to where the edge market is right now. And listen, Josh Sweat is not Max Crosby. He's not Myles Garrett. He's not Bosa. He's not TJ Watt. He's not that upper tier of pass rusher. He's not Brian Burns. We get it. But when looking at the money that's been given out to edges when they hit free agency, this was a home run for the Cardinals to get him at the number that they got him at and for him to take up a very small percentage of the cap compared to the other guys at that position. It's a home run. And then you go out and reinvest in the interior defensive line, and you've been making some heavy investments on that side of the ball at that position over the last couple of years. You're making another heavy investment this year. And it's Dalvin Tomlinson, a cap casualty from Cleveland, who has all sorts of statistics that tell you that he would have been the best player at that position if he was on the Cardinals last year. Immediate overnight upgrade. You're immediately better today. So the defense, you feel really good about the decisions that they've made, and you like what it's opened up for them in free agency. Or in the draft, I should say. You like what it's opened up for them when it comes to the draft. You like the possibilities to where you don't really have to force it. You can go with an edge if you want. You can take another defensive tackle if one falls to you that you really like. If Kenneth Grant, that's a name that's been very popularly mocked to the Arizona Cardinals at 16. I'm suspicious of his ability to get there at 16. Feels like he's a top 10 player along the interior of that defensive line. Multiple teams inside the top 10 make some sense for him. But if he falls, you can now feel comfortable taking him because you've addressed some other areas across that defense, and you brought back some of the guys along the offensive line. Provides you flexibility. So good on the Cardinals yesterday after we questioned whether or not offseason and free agency was passing them by. Monty Ossenfort reminded everybody that he's still in charge, reminded everybody that he is aware of what's going on, made another addition to this team. What's next? I don't know if there's going to be another big splash here for this team. I don't know. They made 2 major upgrades on the defense. It may be some more moves on the margins. It may be some more moves for depth at some key positions. So keep an eye on that, and we'll obviously break down any big signings that this team could potentially make here over the coming days. But now it feels like the focus can shift towards the draft and can shift toward the 16th overall pick and what they should do with that pick and the options that could potentially be available to them. 480-864-1060 is the phone number for you to hop into the conversation here today. We've also got you on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. If you can't call in, if the boss is hovering and you can't pull out the cell phone and join us, how about you join us over on YouTube, where you can just type your thoughts, and we normally share the best ones here throughout the course of the program. But coming up on the other side of the break, a game like last night, at least to me, makes you wonder if it needs to be a rebuild over a retool. We'll talk about it next. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
It gets a little crazy in the sports zoo sometimes. Listen weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. with The Rooster right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. T&Cs apply.
Sure do love this time of year.
Me too. People smiling at each other, sun is shining.
Everybody singing those holiday songs.
Holiday songs?
We're talking about Alaska vacation season, right?
Yeah, but
there aren't any Alaska vacation songs. Oh, wait.
If you want your AC to last all summer long, with an Alaska vacation, it will always blow strong.
Like angels from the heavens.
Not even close to that.
But when Alaskan AC performs our exclusive Alaska vacation, it's primed and prepped for the coming summer heat.
And every Alaska vacation comes with our guarantee of no breakdowns all summer long.
If you want your AC to last all summer long, with an Alaska vacation, it will always blow strong.
Still no angels.
But people love singing it. Come on. If you want your AC to last...
No.
Do we have to sing?
Yes. All summer long with an Alaska vacation.
No.
Okay, but don't come crying to me if you Scrooges don't get anything from the Alaska Vacation Bunny.
If you want your AC to last all summer long, with an Alaska vacation, it will always blow strong.
Experience the Flavors of Latin America event at Whole Foods Market with deals on vibrant ingredients and zesty creations store-wide. Save on no antibiotics ever meat like chicken thighs and marinated skirt steak, fresh avocados, plus street food-inspired items and more through March 25th.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Enroll in Farm Bureau Financial Services Driveology, and you'll instantly save 10% on your auto insurance premium. Over time, your safe driving habits could earn you even bigger savings, up to 50%. Learn more and start saving with Driveology at fbfs.com/save. 10% savings applied at enrollment for select coverages. Future savings based on individual driving behaviors and varies by coverages selected. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Springtime savings are going on now at Mark Mazda in Scottsdale. Right now receives 2.9% APR for 72 months on the brand new 2025 Mazda CX-50.
The name to remember? Mark Mazda. Mark Mazda. On approved credit plus $998.
Into the lunch break, I mentioned right before we went to break, you can join us over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream and share your thoughts over there. And I'll share one of those comments because it's a great launching off point for the conversation that I want to have right now. But John over on YouTube said the Suns didn't care about Plumlee getting ejected because they don't care about each other. They are not a team. Now, I don't know if I would go that far as to say they don't care about each other. I think they want to win. But I have said long ago that they don't act like a team. They act at times like guys that have gotten together and are playing some pickup basketball at the local YMCA. Yes, you are a team in that given moment because you're playing, but you're not really a team. I think they care about each other. I think they want to see each other thrive and do well. And I think they want to win. It's just not working. It's broken. This team is just not what it was supposed to be. It's poorly constructed. It's poorly coached. It has zero leadership. I won't even say poor leadership. It has zero leadership. Somebody point to me the person that's going to be the leader of this team. There isn't one. So you're poorly constructed. You're poorly coached. You have no leadership. It sets up exactly for what we are seeing to play out. And watching that game last night and just getting incredibly frustrated by just the lack of effort on defense and it just never feeling like the Suns were in that basketball game. That's when they have to have last night. We all know what's at stake. We all know what the math tells us about the rest of the season. We know what the schedule looks like over the final 16 games. We know what gauntlet is coming. You think this is embarrassing now when you're 30-36 or whatever their record is now? I've lost track. I've lost count. Wait till you play all these good teams. What it looks like then. You needed that game last night. You needed to finish the road trip 2-2, and it just didn't look like a team that, I don't want to say didn't understand the magnitude. I think they understood the magnitude, didn't care about the magnitude. Did you watch that team last night and think it was a team that wanted to go out and get the 10 seed, that wants to make this push? Or did it look like a team that's already thinking about the summer? A team that's thinking about where they're going to vacation in a couple of weeks? What did it look like? Now, I don't know. I don't want to speculate on what their internal feeling is in that room because you'd like to think that they care. You'd like to think that they're going for it. You'd like to think that they see the scenario that opened itself up when Kyrie Irving got hurt and they want to take advantage of that and save a little respect from this season. You'd like to think that that is the case. But watching that game last night, you start to wonder. The question enters your mind, and if the question enters your mind, the follow-up that I considered last night is, do you just need to have a complete reset? Do you just need to say, you know what? We're going total scorched earth. I need to go full-blown, this just isn't working. All of it's bad. I don't want to say it's toxic, but it's just not a winning group right now. And so I'm just going to tear it down to the absolute studs. This is going to be a complete rebuild. We've used that comparison point on the show before, a retool versus a rebuild. The retool is I want to rearrange the way the living room is set up. I just want to move a couple picture frames around. I want to get in a new couch. We're going to get rid of the old couch, bring in the new couch. We're going to have new coat of paint. Move the TV to this wall. That's what a retool is. A rebuild is, I'm going to knock out this wall, and we're going to make this a full-blown kitchen here, and we're going to move the living room to this side, and we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and this wall's coming out, and a new wall's going in, and we're going to add an extension to the house here. That's a rebuild. That's tearing it down and starting over. We have said that we are calling a summer in which Kevin Durant goes and they keep the rest of this group. And that means Devin Booker and Bradley Beal as a retool, not a rebuild. Last night made me wonder if this team needs a rebuild. If this team needs to be without Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, and we just need to reset. That you're never going to win with these guys. You're never going to win with Devin Booker. You're not going to win with Kevin Durant. He's gone in the summer. You just need to strip it down to the studs and completely start over. That's what I felt watching that game last night. You have a team that just doesn't look like that they get it. They don't look like they want to fight for it. I didn't see the fight. Mason Plumlee gets thrown to the ground, and I didn't see the fight in response. I didn't see diving over and over for loose balls. I didn't see the physicality, making it difficult on Houston. I didn't see it. And if I'm questioning the character, if I'm questioning the motivation level, if I'm questioning the fight of an entire team, I wonder if you just have to completely start over and not hand the keys back to Devin Booker and make this Devin Booker's team and try to put pieces around him. I wonder if we need to have a larger conversation of, is it worth it to see this through? Is it worth it to try it, to retool it, and 2 years down the road try it again? Or does it make sense to just strip it down, take the pain that comes with it, because there will be a lot of pain. That is accepting a lot of losing. You'd get 4 first-round picks, or you would ask for 4 first-round picks back in a deal for Devin Booker. You are looking to get 3 first-round picks back in a deal for Kevin Durant. So you load yourself up with 7 future first-round picks. You get a couple of players in a Durant deal. You get back 1 rising star piece that you can build around, but you are accepting a lot of losing, a lot of ping-pong balls, a lot of embarrassment. You're asking this fan base to go through a lot of pain. But I wonder what the alternative is. And last night was really the first night that I questioned it. Last night was the first night I was sitting there watching the game wondering, man, are we just going to go through this again in a couple of years? Is it really, truly going to get better? Or does it make more sense to just completely wipe the slate clean? To perform a full-blown reset? I don't know. I'd like to think that trading Kevin Durant, getting some first-round picks back, getting a couple of players, resetting your tax apron could allow you to retool this thing pretty quickly, and we might all feel that they would be a better constructed team. But the reason why I'm asking this question today, I think, and maybe this is a little bit of a therapy session that we're going through here right now where I'm kind of just piecing it all together live on the radio. I think this all just goes back to my distrust of this front office. I don't believe in this front office to get this right. I don't believe in James Jones to be able to put together the right roster. Where's the resume that tells me that he is the right person to oversee this? Now, if you want to push back and say that it's still Matt Ishbia's team, and if you don't believe in him, then it doesn't matter who the president of basketball operations is, fair enough. But that's a bigger problem that means nothing they do is going to make us happy. Nothing that they do is going to lead us to this team winning a championship. But I watched a basketball game last night. And I watched a basketball game that wasn't fun. I watched a basketball team that didn't look like they were having fun. There's no fun. There's no fight. There's no energy. There's none of it. They don't have any of it. It is a milquetoast, just melancholy way to watch basketball, to watch the Phoenix Suns. Because at some point, you can't get frustrated anymore. At some point, you just have to accept it. And we have bounced back and forth accepting it, thinking they have a chance, accepting that it's over, thinking they have a chance. Back and forth all year long. But last night really made me evaluate if the retool is the right path. Because I don't know if I trust this front office in it, the way it is currently put together to oversee that process. Now, you bring in somebody who has experience that dwarfs the experience that James Jones has, that has built championship contending teams, has built championship winning teams, then maybe I can understand the retool versus the rebuild. But I don't trust the front office to land this plane correctly right now. I don't trust them to make the necessary moves. We've told you. We've compared it to a gymnastics routine in the Olympics. You have to score a perfect 10. You can't score an 8.5. You have to get every single piece of this right. And I just don't trust them to do it. And watching that game last night, it pushed me more towards just complete reset. Players gone, coaching staff gone, front office gone. Just give me a totally new vision, a fresh set of eyes. And maybe I'm foolish for asking for that pain. Maybe I'm foolish for thinking that pain's going to be worth it. Maybe that's stupid. And maybe cooler heads will prevail by the time we get to the summer. But that's the thought I had last night. That's the thought I had driving in today. And that's the thought I'm sharing with you right now here on this show. That I wonder if it's better off just a complete and total reset across the board. That requires Matt Ishbia to admit failures, to admit that it requires a complete reset, and I'm still skeptical that we see that. And I don't know if I really want that, Payne. I don't know if I want to come in here every single day for the next 5 to 7, if not longer, years and talk about a bad basketball team. But perhaps that bad basketball team might be more fun to watch than this team. So maybe it'll at least be an upgrade for the first couple of years. But after a while, you can only take so much losing. This franchise has gone through this before. We've gone through this before. I got here summer of 2012. I didn't live through all of it, but I lived through a lot of it. I lived through some bad basketball, some bad draft picks, some bad coaches. I've watched a lot of it happen. And I don't know if we can do it again. But last night pushed me towards maybe that's the only way out of this. Maybe that's the way this needs to go. That's a dangerous place to be. Dangerous place to be. 480-864-1060, the phone number. Also got you on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. You can share your thoughts over there as well. A lot of Suns talk over there here through the first hour of the program. Coming up on the other side of the break. So far, they've added only one newcomer to the offensive side of their ball. Is their strategy just continuity? That's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Every Monday night, check out Ray Adams as he hosts the Monday Night Golf and Lifestyle Show from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
At Shane Company, we love a spring engagement, but you might be wondering, how do I find the perfect engagement ring? As a trusted family jeweler since 1929, we get asked this a lot. We have a wide selection of ring settings, like vintage designs with romantic details, floral settings inspired by nature, and classic styles with clean lines and sleek metals. Dreaming of the most beautiful diamond you've ever seen? At Shane Company, we handpick only the sparkliest center stones in all shapes and sizes, from oval to round to marquise, and more. We have gorgeous natural and lab-grown diamonds at competitive prices, in-store, ready to compare side by side. Drawn to certain colors? We're known for our rainbow of vivid natural sapphires, including shades of blue, straight out of a fairy tale, handpicked by our owner, Tom Shane. At Shane Company, we have the best free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, plus resizing, repairs, and cleanings for life. Visit us at shaneco.com or in store. No appointment necessary. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Looking to sell your home? Hi, I'm Andrew the Home Buyer, and I love making it easy to sell your house. I'll personally come and give you a cash offer the same day we meet, and I'll beat any other offer. It really is that easy to sell your home, and no need to clean or fix anything. I'll buy it in as-is condition. Call me, Andrew the Homebuyer, today to get your same-day cash offer. Visit andrewthehomebuyer.com.
Take advantage of thousands of dollars in SRP rebates and discounts on energy-efficient home upgrades like new air conditioning units, windows, ducts, and insulation. Save money on your energy bill while also making your home more comfortable. SRP's network of participating contractors can guide you from start to finish and maximize your savings by combining Inflation Reduction Act incentives with SRP rebates. Learn more at savewithsrp.com.
The Varsity Sports Show dives into Arizona high school sports, JUCO, NAIA, and NCAA sports. Catch it Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
Wrapping up hour number one of the program here. Appreciate you joining us today here on the show. Now, I have not gotten confirmation of this. And I will tell you, the thermostat is still blinking at me today the way that it has the last couple of days, since Monday, really. It does feel definitively cooler in here today. Now, again, I have not been given the all clear that the air is fixed. The fan is still in producer Dylan's studio. Normally, that's my signal of we feel like the problem is been fixed if the fan gets removed, because I didn't put the fan in there. Producer Dylan didn't put the fan in there. So I have not gotten the all clear yet, but it feels definitively cooler in here today. Would you agree on your side, Producer Dylan? Giving me the thumbs up that it is cooler over there as well. And again, waiting for the all clear. Thermostat's still blinking at me, which tells me that at any moment it could all of a sudden be 95 degrees in here. but it does feel better today. And I'm still wearing a pullover because it's cold in the hallway. But so far, so good here today through hour number 1 of the program. If you look at the current Arizona Cardinals depth chart for the 2025 season, and I use Our Lads as my depth chart resource. And the cool thing about the Our Lads depth charts and how they get updated is they show you that a player has been acquired this year. They show you how a player was acquired, free agency, draft pick, what teams they were at before. It's a really cool resource. And they have the players that are being brought in via free agency as gold on the depth chart. And on the offensive side of the ball for the Arizona Cardinals, there is one player that has that gold tag next to his name right now, and that is Jacoby Brissett, the new backup quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. No other major additions, no other additions at all right now on the offensive side of the ball. No other wide receiver brought in, Zay Jones brought back. Haven't made any outside additions to the interior of their offensive line. Brought back Evan Brown. Their swing tackle, Kelvin Beachum, brought him back. No outside additions to this team so far as we sit here on March 13th. Is that the right strategy? Is the strategy of continuity the right one? Is it running it back with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Zay Jones and Michael Wilson and the group of receivers that this team has, running it back with the same offensive linemen? And if you don't bring back a Will Hernandez and you need somebody to play right guard, you're going to fill that spot with somebody who's already on the roster. Is continuity the right approach for this offense? Normally, continuity is encouraged. If you do too much new, I'll give you an example. The New England Patriots this offseason have a lot of new. Brand new head coach, and they had the most cap space in the NFL, and they deployed it in a big way. Made multiple additions along their defense. Spent a lot of money on their defense for Mike Vrabel as he enters year 1. That's a lot of new. That's a lot of pieces that have to Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Robert Spillane. Just a couple of the names that they added in free agency along that defense. Those guys have to gel. They have to learn the system. The teammates have to learn those guys' little nuances, the intricacies, and come together as a team to be defense. Sometimes a lot of new can be a bad thing. You stress the importance of continuity, of having a bunch of guys who understand the system, that understand how to row the boat in the same direction. That can be a good thing. Why do you think the Kansas City Chiefs year after year after year can find the success that they have? Because they have continuity at the coach. They have continuity with their offensive play caller. They have continuity at quarterback. They have continuity at the key positions across the board. The Cardinals, at least right now on the surface, are operating the concept of continuity on their offense, not looking to make any major outside additions. Is that the right path? Is that the right path for a team that was 11th in the NFL last year in points per game, that was 11th in the league last year in yards per game, 7th in yards per play, had the 7th best rushing attack in football last year in rush yards per game, was 18th in pass yards per game? Is continuity the thing that takes that from being a middle-of-the-road, flirting with being a top 10 elite offense in the NFL to being a permanent member of the top 10 offenses in the NFL? Is continuity the difference? Is that all this team needs on offense? Is that all it's going to take for Marvin Harrison Jr. to have a breakout? Is that all it's going to take for there to be a breakout of somebody? I don't really care who it is, but for somebody to be the wide receiver 2 on this team. Is continuity the right approach? I have 2 voices in my head on this. There's the voice that says continuity most of the time is never a bad thing. That it's a good thing that same play caller, Drew Petzing's not going anywhere. Same quarterback, all of the same skill players right now, the same running back, the same number 1 wide receiver, the same supporting cast of wide receivers, the same secondary pass-catching option in Trey McBride. Your offensive line is entirely the same. Your right tackle is the guy you had at the end last year. Your left tackle is the guy that you've drafted and developed. Your center is a guy you've given an extension to. You brought back Evan Brown, who was a member of the interior offensive line. You have kept the status quo across the board, and that helps you in the running game. James Conner's not going to struggle. He knows the holes and how they're going to open up with those guys. It all feels on the surface as the right thing to do. Did you feel like you were watching the 11th best offense in points per game last year? Did you feel like you were watching an offense that was 11th in yards per game? Did you feel like you were watching the team that was 8th best on third downs? Did you feel like you were watching a nearly top 10 offense in some of the key stats? Did you feel that when you were watching this team play? Did you feel like you were getting that type of quarterback play from Kyler Murray? Did you feel like that was the offense that he was overseeing? See, that's where the other voice in my head stands out of, I don't think this group can make that jump. I think this group showed us what they are, and this is what they are, and I don't know if it's going to be good enough. You can rely on a defense, and you can rely on a running game. You can try to be successful with that in the NFL in 2025. You can certainly win a bunch of games. But the thing that's going to take this over the top, the thing that's going to take this into playoff team, that's going to take this into playoff contender, that's going to take this into can make some noise in the playoffs, is the play of the offense and the play of the quarterback. And so running it back with this group scares me a little bit. Is there untapped potential with Zay Jones? Is there untapped potential with Michael Wilson? Or are they what they are? There's untapped potential with Marvin Harrison Jr. entering his second year in the league. I'll grant you that. Trey McBride, we know what he is. I've said this. He is part of that crew that is taking over for Kittle, for Kelsey, and for Hawkinson. He is a part of that trio that's taking over for that trio. So you've got a guy there. You've got a great running back in James Conner, a nice backup in Trey Benson. You've got pieces that we like. You've got pieces that showed flashes last year. Trey McBride's awesome. Marvin Harrison Jr., we think the sky's the limit for that kid. You can now buy his jersey. He settled his deal with Fanatics. So Marvin Harrison Jr. jerseys coming to a Cardinals team shop and a website near you. So you can get in on the action. Maybe that's all that was missing for him last year, was seeing a bunch of jerseys in the stadium with his name on it. So boom, we're ready to go. And now he's going to reach that untapped potential. Possible. Is there a higher ceiling for this offensive line, though, or did you kind of see what their ceiling was last year? Is there a higher ceiling for Kyler Murray, or is he what he is at this point of his career? At this point, I think if you're questioning what he is as a quarterback, then you know he's not a franchise quarterback. But, hey, we're going to roll the dice. We're going to do this one more time. We're going to have this dance for one more season. I get it. Continuity has its perks. Continuity allows you to hit the ground running in a way that some other teams might not be able to do at the beginning of the year. So granted, it's not a bad strategy to fall back on. But I just worry that this group, as it's constructed, does not have a high enough ceiling to be better offensively than they were last year. I mean, I shared with you the statistics. Did you feel that watching the games? I asked that a couple of minutes ago. I'm repeating it because I didn't feel it watching these games last year. I didn't feel like we were watching one of the best offenses, meaning they need to be better. They need to be better offensively, and I don't know if running this group back completely unchanged. The only outside addition that this team has made to its offense right now is Jacoby Brissett as their backup quarterback. That's it. The only upgrade. It's a good upgrade. Don't get me wrong. Getting a backup quarterback is the right upgrade that this team needed to make. But so far, that's it. No new faces along the interior of the offensive line. You haven't gone out and got a second wide receiver. You haven't done any of that. You have maintained the status quo. The status quo has its perks, but in my mind, this status quo also has its limitations, and that concerns me. Hour number one of the program in the books. This is how we'll start hour number two. The Suns tomorrow night will start another stretch of games. Is this their last chance saloon? It's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Alexis and I watch lawyers get out there and say they're going to get you a fast, easy, serious injury settlement. And we're like, what? It'd be like going to your cardiologist and asking for a fast, easy triple bypass. Hi, I'm Mark Breyer.
And I'm Alexis Breyer. We're the husband and wife law team. Fast and easy settlements actually is less work for the lawyer and less money for the client.
And you know who promises you that? People who don't want to get out there and fight for you when you need them. Do your research after a serious injury. Call the husband and wife law team first.
When you're injured on the job, you need more than just a workers' comp lawyer. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. For the people. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Papa Roach.
This is my last resort. That's what she said. I don't hate.
With Rise Against, celebrating 25 years. Rise of the Roach Tour. Rockin' Talkin' Stick Resort Amphitheater, March 25th. With special guest, Under Oath. On sale now at LiveNation.com. Don't miss Papa Roach and Rise Against together on one epic night. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
As a business owner, you wear a lot of hats. One minute you're ordering today's inventory, and the next you're planning tomorrow's expansion. It's complicated, but your business credit card should be simple. With the Signify Business Cash Card by Wells Fargo, you earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases for your business, with no caps or categories to track. Signify Business Cash, the deliberately simple business credit card. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/signify. Terms apply.
Jan from Toyota here. Have you felt cooped up from winter? Well, now until March 31st is the perfect time for a new Toyota, like Camry, Tundra, Grand Highlander, and more. So you can get back out there and do the things you love, like strapping your bikes into the bed of a Tundra to find some new trails. Too steep! Too steep! Off-roading with your best buds in a 4Runner.
Woohoo! I feel alive again!
Packing a Camry full of plants to redo your garden.
Whew, my green thumb is back.
Loading up rods and reels into a Corolla Cross for a fly fishing trip. I got one! Hey, sorry. And hitching up the boat to a Grand Highlander for a lake day.
I haven't water skied in a long time!
Live out your spring fantasies with a new Toyota. Come in today.
Go from dreaming it to driving it. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Thursday. Welcome back into the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. You could also listen on the KDUS AM 1060 app or enjoy the video version of the show, waving to the YouTube audience right now over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. A bunch of ways for you to join us here today on the program, however you may be doing so. Appreciate you joining us here today on the show. We are diving back into the Suns and that loss last night, a 111-104 loss to the Houston Rockets, dropping the Phoenix Suns to 30-36 on the season. And now they start what I am calling, and I am putting my foot down on this one. This is it. This is the last time I am going to convince myself that the Suns are going to play a stretch of basketball that matters. Because in the past, we have told ourselves that we're out on this team, and then something happens. They win a game. Something happens with another team. They continue to stay right there in the standings, and we try to convince ourselves that it still matters at the end of the day. This is it for me. It's a phrase that I heard once, and I use it anytime I get last chance saloon for the Phoenix Suns. Why? Let's talk about their next 4 games starting tomorrow night against Sacramento. It's in large part because 3 of the next 4 games are at home after having a 4-game road trip that saw them travel all over the place: Denver, Dallas, Memphis, Houston. They're going to come home tomorrow and play Sacramento. Then they're going to travel and on Sunday play at Los Angeles. Then they have a back-to-back. Monday, they're back here at Phoenix Arena, where they'll take on Toronto. Then Wednesday, they play Chicago. That 4-game stretch is everything to this basketball team. Why do I say that it is everything to this basketball team? Because here's what's awaiting on the other side of it. And listen, I know you can look this up. I know you don't need me to say it out loud to you, but I think it packs an emotional punch when I read it out, the games that they're going to play after this little stretch. This is Friday, March 21st, 8 days away through the end of the season. Home against Cleveland, home against Milwaukee, home against Boston, at Minnesota, home against Houston, at Milwaukee, at Boston, at the Knicks, home against Golden State, home against Oklahoma City, home against San Antonio, at Sacramento at the end of the season. Did you enjoy hearing those games starting on March 21st? Did you see a team in there that reminds you of Toronto or reminds you of Chicago, a team that you probably should beat? Or did that look like the best of the best? Because I see a game against Cleveland. That's the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. I see 2 games against Boston. That's your 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. I see a game in New York against the 3-seeded New York Knicks. I see you have a game against Oklahoma City. That's the top seed in the Western Conference. I see a lot of games against good teams. I see a lot of games against the elite teams in the NBA that, let's face it, are going to wipe the floor with you if you bring out the effort level that you've been bringing out recently. If you play defense the way you've been playing it since the All-Star break, what's that game going to look like on March 21st against Cleveland? What's that going to look like Wednesday, March 26th against Boston, Friday, April 4th against Boston? It'll be the perfect April Fool's joke on Tuesday, April 1st at Milwaukee to get embarrassed and watch Milwaukee drop 130, 140 on you. Right now, as things stand in the Western Conference, here's where we sit after last night. Dallas did not take care of business against San Antonio. They sit 33-34, 1 game below 500. The Phoenix Suns sit 30-36, 2 games back of Dallas in the loss column, 2.5 back technically in the standings. 2 games back in the loss column. That's what this team has to make up. The Phoenix Suns, the rest of the way, have to make up 2 games in the loss column. I just read to you the schedule for the Phoenix Suns the rest of the way. Here's the schedule for Dallas the rest of the way. Tell me which schedule you would rather have. At Houston, home against Philly. At Indiana, home against Detroit. At Brooklyn, at the Knicks, at Orlando, at Chicago, home against Brooklyn, home against Atlanta, at the Clippers for 2 in a row, home against the Lakers, home against Toronto, at Memphis. I see way more winnable games on that schedule for a shorthanded Dallas team. They also get Chicago and Toronto, just like you do. They get Brooklyn twice. They get Atlanta. They get Detroit. They get Philadelphia, who isn't playing very good basketball. Which schedule would you rather have? Would you rather have the Suns schedule or would you rather have the Mavericks schedule? The Suns need to find a way to make up 2 games the rest of the way on Dallas. I haven't looked at this recently. I know the Suns have the hardest schedule remaining in the NBA. It doesn't matter how many games fall off the schedule. They still sit at number 1. I don't know where Dallas's schedule sits. It's 18th, according to Tankathon.com. So Phoenix, hardest schedule remaining in the NBA. The strength of schedule, a .592 winning percentage. Dallas's strength of schedule the rest of the way, .498, sub 500. You have to make up 2 games in the standings against that team who has the 18th hardest schedule the rest of the way. On Tankathon.com, I don't know if the YouTube audience will be able to see this if I turn the tablet, but there's a column that says the toughest opponents for the every team remaining, and it has, for the Suns, it has the Cavs, it has the Thunder, the 2 against the Celtics, all the games that we've mentioned, right? And then there's a column that has the easiest opponents for all of these teams, right? And it has them for all of them. And all of these teams have like 5 or 6 teams that are in here. Like Sacramento is got the second hardest schedule, and they have like 6 teams that are on here. They've got one against Washington, one against Charlotte, one against Chicago, one against Portland, and there's 6 teams for all of these teams. Some teams have 5, but most have 6. And then there's the Phoenix Suns, who have 3. And yet that team is going to bridge the gap of 2 games over Dallas. And by the way, in case you really want this to hit home, the Suns are under the easiest opponent section for a bunch of teams. Sacramento, the Lakers, the Bucks are on here. Golden State, all the teams that they play, they're viewed as the easiest opponent or one of the easier opponents for opposing teams. That's why this stretch right now is so important for the Phoenix Suns, because this is it. This is the only time left on this calendar where you think they might be able to get some wins. You think they might be able to beat Toronto. You think they might be able to beat Chicago. That's 2. That gets you to 32 wins. Dallas right now sits at 33. So even if over this stretch of games, we get to Friday, March 21st, you win 2 games, Dallas doesn't win a single game, and they have 33, you have 32. You got to find me one more. You got to find me one more. Cleveland, Milwaukee, Boston, Minnesota, Houston, Milwaukee, Boston, the Knicks, Golden State, Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Sacramento. You have to find me one more game. Now, maybe you get lucky, and in April, Boston's not playing for a whole lot, so they're resting guys. Maybe you get lucky and the Knicks are resting guys, although that's not who they are. Maybe Golden State feels comfortable. They start shutting things down, although with the way things are going there in Golden State right now, there's a lot that's on the table. Have you looked at the standings in the Western Conference recently and see where Golden State sits right now? They're battling out with Minnesota to be the 6th seed, and they're only 2.5 back of Houston for that 5 spot. So they're playing for something. They're playing to avoid that play-in tournament. They're playing to have a nice matchup in the first round. Because right now they would play Denver. If they get to the 5 seed, they could play the Lakers, as it currently sits. So I don't know. And you have to see who's playing on a back-to-back. Maybe you catch one of these teams at a nice time. But I don't see a game on the schedule right now after this little stretch. After the Suns play Chicago on Wednesday, March 19th, there's not a single game that I think the Suns have a chance to win. Let's do it this way. After the Chicago game on Wednesday, March 19th, is there a single game on this calendar that I think the Suns are going to be favored in? Is there going to be a game where they're less than a 3-point underdog? Home games against Cleveland, Milwaukee, Boston. Not against Cleveland and Boston. I don't think so against Milwaukee. They're home against Sacramento on Friday. I don't know if there's a line out for this game yet. Doesn't look like it because we're waiting for some injury reports. The Kings have won both of the games that these two teams have played this season. One in overtime in November, 127-118. Then beat them a couple days later, 127-104. So you'd have to expect that it's going to be at least a couple of points favored for Sacramento on the road. And we're going to talk about the Kings tomorrow as part of a preview. Because the Kings and Suns were at a similar crossroads at one point, and the Kings made some choices that raised some eyebrows, and it's not an issue for them. They're going to be a team in the Western Conference play-in tournament. The Suns, we're going through all these mental exercises to try to convince ourselves that they have a chance. Sacramento, LA, Toronto, and Chicago. The Toronto and Chicago games, non-negotiables. If we were still playing the game, 10 out of 10 on the importance scale. I'm not bringing back the importance scale until they show me a stretch of games where it's deserving of coming back. You have to win both of those games. And truthfully, I think you need to win tomorrow at home against Sacramento. You need to go 3-1 in this stretch and get to 33 wins to at least put some level of pressure on Dallas. That's it. Because after that, I don't know if you're getting any more wins. I don't know where they're coming from. Yeah, I don't think you're going to lose every single game the rest of the way. You're going to have a surprise or two. I hope. But I can't sit here and pick it. Maybe San Antonio and Sacramento to end the year April 11th and April 13th. So Toronto, Chicago, Sacramento, and San Antonio, that gets you to 4. You beat Sacramento tomorrow night, that's 5. You got to find a couple of more to bridge the gap to Dallas. Again, the math isn't mathing. And if you lose to Sacramento tomorrow, if you lose to either Toronto or Chicago early next week, it's going to be it. It's going to be over. It doesn't matter what Dallas is doing. It doesn't matter that Dallas continues to lose. You have to make up 2 games against them in the standings. Every time they lose, you have to use that as an opportunity to pick up a game. And if you're not going to do that, if you are unable to make that move, then we're going to get to the end of March, well before the end of March, and we're going to call it. This thing's going to be over. You watch how this team played last night. They're on a 2-game losing streak going into tomorrow night against Sacramento. This is last chance saloon. This 4-game stretch has to see at least 2 wins. I would argue it needs to be 3-1. Last chance saloon for the Phoenix Suns, because you're not going to be able to go on a run. If you don't win enough games in this 4-game pocket, you are not going to go on a run. Nobody is going to believe that you can go on a run against those teams, against that schedule, and put enough pressure on Dallas. Nobody will believe in you. So 4 games, that's it. Last chance to make a push. 480-864-1060, the phone number here. For your calls in hour number 2 of the program, always welcome. We've got you covered on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream as well. Coming up on the other side of the break, what are the early returns on Cardinals free agency? It's next. Lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Check out KDUS AM 1060 on 100.7 KSLX HD2. That's right, HD radio on 100.7 channel number 2.
The madness is here, Arizona. Grab your official tournament bracket in Monday's Arizona Republic. Brought to you by Santan Ford. Who's your Cinderella pick? Fill it out and let the games begin.
We are Santan Ford.
Phoenix, are you ready to ascend? Bring Me the Horizon, USA Ascension Program, Part 1.
Every sky will build, my friend.
Taking over Footprint Center, October 2nd, with special guest
Crawling from hell.
Motionless in White, The Plot in You, and Amira El Fiki. On sale now at livenation.com. Bring Me the Horizon, presented by the Big Red Radio.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help that often requires only simple maintenance. However, if left untreated, could lead to costly repairs. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage door is noisy, if bugs are getting in, or if it struggles to open, your garage door is in need of repair. From simple repairs to upgrades, it's A1 from day one. We fix garage doors fast and with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Our springs, rollers, and openers are tested by running them up and down, open and closed, all day, 24/7, so you can feel confident with every A1 garage door repair. Replacing the bottom rubber on your garage door can have a huge impact on the number of bugs you see in your garage and in your home. Keep those creepy crawlers outside by calling A1 Garage Door Service today and receive the best service, best parts, and best warranty in the industry.
A1Garage.com. A1 from day one.
Call today and take advantage of our $29.95 tune-up special.
A family called us recently after being told they had no case.
But we found evidence many others had missed and helped them win the largest car crash verdict in Arizona that year. Hiring the wrong lawyer can cost you everything.
Call the husband and wife law team first.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The Broncos might be the quietest big winners of the offseason. Last year, Sean Payton's team surprised everybody, going 10-7 behind rookie quarterback Bo Nix. Defense led the league in sacks, allowing just 19 points per game. But instead of basking in last season's success, Denver has spent the offseason making serious upgrades without much fanfare. While teams like New England or Washington or Chicago have dominated the headlines, the Broncos have methodically filled up key roster spots, signing former Niners linebacker Dre Greenlaw, adding toughness to an already great defense. They landed all-pro safety Talanoa Hufanga, giving them a ball-hawking thumper on the back end. They also provided Knicks with a true safety valve in tight end Evan Ingram. Is it enough to finally break Kansas City's 10-year stranglehold on the West? That's a tall order. But if the team continues this trajectory, Denver is starting to look like a team that's ready to compete for more than just a playoff spot. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to stand out, and that's where True Green comes in. Here's the best part. It's more affordable than you think. They'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They will come back between visits to make it right. So don't wait. Head to truegreen.com today and let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results. Exclusions apply. See truegreen.com for details.
Buying a home used to feel like a complete headache. Listings here, pre-approval there, financing somewhere else. Now, Rocket is giving every home one address. Rocket.com. A single seamless homeownership platform to help you find, buy, sell, finance, and refinance your home. Everything you need, all under one roof. Visit Rocket.com, the new home for all things homeownership. Rocket. Own the dream.
HD Radio is here for KDUS AM 1060. Check out your favorite shows and games on 100.7 KSLX HD2.
Make sure you download the KDUS AM 1060 app. Take us with you on the go. One button, play, boom, you're in. Listening to everything here on KDUS AM 1060. So make sure you download the KDUS AM 1060 app today. Everybody loves a good grade. A good draft grade, a free agency grade, an off-season grade. Everybody loves to see the way the national media responds to what your favorite team does in the offseason. I'm a sucker for them. I'll click on a story if you're going to tell me you've graded all of the teams so far. And so this morning, in preparation for the show, I just typed in NFL free agency team grades. I wanted to see what came back. And so I compiled a couple of them here, share what the national media is saying, and then maybe we can give out a grade here so far. And I think maybe we might have a harsher grade than some of the grades that were given out. But we'll start with CBS Sports, who gave the Cardinals a B- for their offseason so far. Now, I believe this story was written before Dalvin Tomlinson was signed by the Arizona Cardinals. So you have to look at these and see, obviously, when they were written to understand what moves they're counting, right? Did they write the story when Jacoby Brissett, when that move happened? So a B- for CBS Sports. You then had Yahoo Sports give the Cardinals a B. All right, so we got a B-. We have a B. We're kind of living in that above average but not excellent. We're checking boxes, but we're not overwhelming everybody. So they gave a B. Here's what they said about it. Grabbing Josh Sweat was big. That move, along with retaining Baron Browning, will boost the Cardinals' pass rush. But for a team that has missed the playoffs again, more additions would have been nice. So the Cardinals get a B from Yahoo Sports in their team grades. I mentioned CBS Sports. They gave the Cardinals a B- and said they made a big splash by signing Josh Sweat. And talked about Jonathan Gannon, the connection there, Baron Browning, Evan Brown. But here's what they said that led them to the B. However, they still have glaring needs at wide receiver and along their defensive line, even after signing Sweat. So this is probably before the Dalvin Tomlinson news. Arizona currently has the third most effective cap space in the NFL, and they should put a little more of that to use to upgrade two key areas on their roster. So they've checked the defensive line box, so I wonder if this B- then turns into a B or a B+. But wide receiver still on the board for them. And then The Athletic and ESPN graded specific moves, didn't necessarily grade entire off seasons. And when it came to signing of Josh Sweat, The Athletic gave that move for the Cardinals an A, Quote, the Cardinals were intent on adding pass rushing help to further fortify Jonathan Gannon's defense. They went out and got one of the heroes of the Super Bowl, paying Sweat $76.4 million and $41 million guaranteed. Sweat has one double-digit sack campaign in his 7-year career. However, his coordinator that year was Gannon, so perhaps the coach can help Sweat further elevate his game entering year 8, end quote. So the Athletic giving that move an A. Again, talking about the connection between Gannon and Sweat and that potentially unlocking what we have seen from Sweat in the past. ESPN, they also graded the Josh Sweat signing by the Arizona Cardinals. They gave that a B. Quote, the Cardinals entered the offseason with a massive need for an edge rusher who can get after the quarterback and plenty of cap space to work with. Sweat was the best available at the position, so this was always a potential match. And one of the reasons why they like this deal to the level of a B is because of the contract. We told you about this yesterday of how well the Cardinals did with this number in terms of where the edge market is right now, how they did well getting him at the $19.1 million APY value, and that's not the going rate for edge rushers nowadays, and so they did a great job in that regard. So, okay, I would say overall some glowing reviews for what the Cardinals did in the offseason. The Josh Sweat signing itself gets an A from The Athletic, a B from ESPN+. The overall offseason, a B from Yahoo Sports, a B- from CBS Sports, although I would upgrade that to a B because they mentioned defensive line. We saw them go out and tackle that last night when they got Dalvin Tomlinson on a 2-year deal. So overall, not average, above average, across the board for what the Cardinals did this offseason. Do I agree with those grades? Do I think they're maybe too nice of grades? Yesterday, we talked about the offseason maybe passing the Cardinals by and being worried that they landed Josh Sweat, they got Jacoby Brissett, but they're leaving a lot of other things on the table. They're not really addressing a whole host of other issues. And they went out last night and they added Dalvin Tomlinson. And I'm not taking anything away from that move, a solid move. They're able to say they worked on the interior of the defensive line, so an upgraded edge, an upgrade on the interior of the defensive line. We said invest heavy resources on defense. They did with those two guys. Again, not taking anything away from them. But they still have other needs. I still think they need another edge rusher. I would still like to see them make another upgrade at defensive tackle. I've been on record saying this team needs a number 2 wide receiver. I don't know who's playing right guard for this team right now. And so it's hard for me when I have a hole on my interior of the offensive line. I need a number 2 wide receiver. I still need more depth at my pass rush group. It's hard for me to say A, B+. It's hard for me to say, you get a B+, you enter the A territory, you covered all of your bases. And I'm not sure that they have done that so far. They've made upgrades. They are a better football team today than they were at the start of free agency. So if that's the bar you have to clear to get above a C, which for me it would be, are you a better football team? Did you give out the right type of contracts? There's no overpay here. Dalvin Tomlinson's a nice player. You went out and you paid for a veteran defensive tackle and interior defensive lineman to shore up that group. Did you maybe pay a little bit more than you would have liked to? Maybe, but I have no issues with that contract. Interior defensive linemen were getting paid all over the place. You just joined the fray. The Josh Sweat deal, because of how well I like that structure, it kind of allows you the overpay. It kind of balances it out to say you spent around the type of money we would expect you to spend for those 2 positions. So you've spent well. You haven't had an overpay. You've checked boxes. You've addressed some needs. But this team had a lot of needs going into this offseason, and there are still some that are still left on the board, and you can't address them all in free agency, just like you can't address them all in the draft. So I wonder if the approach is these are the positions we feel comfortable addressing in free agency. We'll address the rest in the draft. Perhaps that's the strategy. We see teams do this all the time. They focus on one side of the ball in free agency. Calendar flips to April. We get to draft night. Boom. Other side of the ball is what we're addressing through the 3 days of the draft. Certainly possible. I would lean more towards the CBS Sports grade of a B- because I think they left some meat on the bone here. I think it's a mistake to not get another wide receiver. I think it's a mistake to not pursue an upgrade along the interior of that offensive line with somebody from outside the building. We talked about continuity in hour number 1 of the program. I would have liked to have seen somebody new brought in to maybe play right guard. That could still happen. It doesn't seem likely right now, but that could still happen. So I think you missed the boat there. I think you're going to miss the boat if you don't take another chance on the edge group. You got Dalvin Tomlinson. You got Josh Sweat, right? Take a flyer. Throw a dart at a dartboard. Go get somebody that you think is a reclamation project and you think will thrive in your system, please. This is where you take that dart throw. This is where you get a guy on a 1-year prove-it deal and set him up to potentially make more money next offseason, and you add depth. Azeez Ojulari has been a name that we've thrown out there in that regard. He's been a guy that we've said that falls into that bucket. Make that dart throw. So there is still some meat left on this bone, and this defense is not complete. We cannot roll into next season with this being the group that we have and adding a couple of guys in the draft. It will not be good enough. It will still fall just a little bit short. It will still miss the mark just a touch. So these grades make sense, and I understand grading the Josh Sweat move an A, and I understand grading the Sweat move a B and giving out Bs overall. I get all of it. It just feels like there's a little bit of meat left on the bone. Still just a little bit on the table for the Cardinals to go do, and it doesn't seem like there's an appetite to do it. And I feel like it's going to come back to be a mistake. That we're going to get to the season, there's not going to be a true number 2 wide receiver on this team, and we're going to be left wondering, why didn't you go out and get somebody in the offseason when there's a bunch of names? Now, in fairness, there are still names out there. They haven't missed out on any of the potential candidates, so they could still swing that here at some point. So we need to be fair to them. They still could go out and do it. I'm just not sure I expect it from the tea leaves that I'm reading about people talking about the Cardinals and their offseason pursuits. 480-864-1060, that's the phone number. We've got just about a half hour here left in the show, so if you want to get involved, you can do that via the phone number. We've also got you on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream as well, so your ways to get in contact here with the show. Coming up on the other side of the break. No, it's way too early, right? Like, it's way too early to do this. Or is it? That's next, the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Need social information about KDUS AM 1060? Try KDUS1060.com, at KDUS AM 1060 on Twitter, and Facebook.com/KDUS AM 1060.
What's better than a credit card with low interest? How about one with no interest? For a limited time, when you open a new America First Visa credit card, you'll enjoy 0% APR for the first 6 months. Transfer your balances from higher rate cards to your new America First card to consolidate debt and potentially save yourself a lot of money. That's 0 interest for 6 months. Interested? Then hurry to americafirst.com to apply today. Introductory variable annual percentage rate is subject to membership, eligibility, terms, creditworthiness, change, and conditions. Other limits and requirements may apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal opportunity lender.
Springtime savings are going on now at Mark Mazda in Scottsdale. If you've been holding off on a new car, listen up. Right now, receive 2.9% APR for 72 months on the brand new 2025 Mazda CX-50.
Looking to lease instead? You can lease a 2025 Mazda CX-50 Hybrid for just $379 a month plus tax for 36 months with just $29.99 down. Come see us at the Scottsdale Auto Show or go to markmazdascottsdale.com.
The name to remember? Mark Mazda. Mark Mazda. On approved credit plus $998 fee.
Only 50% of Arizonans believe their health insurance will cover them in a major medical emergency, like a car accident or an unexpected life-changing diagnosis. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arizona aims to change that perception. AZ Blue often takes care of more than 99% of hospital charges in major emergencies, protecting you and your family from devastating financial consequences. To learn more about how AZ Blue protects its members, head to azblue.com/true story.
Matazel Hotel and Casino is giving away a 2025 Jeep Willys 4x4 and your share of $6,000 this spring. Earn entries by earning 200 base points through April 23rd. Weekly drawings every Wednesday from 5 to 8 p.m. The grand prize drawing will be on April 30th from 4 to 9 p.m. See Players Club for details. Don't miss your chance to win. Only at Matazel Hotel and Casino in Payson. Just a short scenic drive from the valley. Matazel Hotel and Casino, Arizona's friendliest casino.
Hosier presents the Unreal Unearthed Tour 2025, live in Phoenix. Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, October 7th, with special guest, Amble. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The #1 album, Unreal Unearth, is available everywhere. For more, visit Hosier.com.
Hey, basketball fans, Tom Chambers here reminding you that just like in a game, you need a solid defense for your home. And that starts with a reliable roof from Right Way Roofing. Hey, Lori, as owner of Right Way Roofing, what sets you apart from the competition?
Our team tackles any roofing challenge, from shingles to tile to foam roofing. We'll make sure your roof wins against the toughest opponents, rain, wind, and even those scorching summer days.
Make Right Way Roofing your MVP.
We're Right Way Roofing and we do it right. We'll always keep you watertight.
Your caddy, Ray Adams, takes you beyond the 18th hole on Saturday mornings with Great American Golf from 6 to 7 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
Welcome back into the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. I did not think on March 13th that this is the segment that I would be doing here on the show. But as part of my prep process, we'll take you behind the scenes here for just a second. Part of the prep process is I scour the internet. I'm just reading stories. Some things are worthy of turning into a segment because they make me think, and I have a question that comes out of it, and so it leads to a topic. And then there are times where things I read, and then they just get filed away. They don't end up becoming something on the show. I thought that was where this next story was going to take us. I thought it was going to end up in the bucket of, this is nice. Okay, we're doing this in March. Fine. I'm not going to pay any attention to it. But then there was something in there that made me just think for a second. Because I went to the NBA section of ESPN.com today. And do you know what was on there, Producer Dylan? Do you know what was on there, everybody? You know what? On March 13th, there was a 2-round NBA mock draft. And I'm a sucker, okay? You present me with a mock draft of any kind, I'm clicking on it. You are going to get the click from me. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. You put a mock draft in front of me, I'm interested. So they got me already. So they put together this full NBA mock draft, the 2 rounds, and I'm thinking to myself, is there anything that I'm going to gain from this? I'm the first person to raise my hand and say, I can't break down these players yet. I'll do some tape watching. I'll read some reports, and I'll feel a bit more informed about the NBA draft a little bit later on in this process. I'm not going to tell you anything about these players. Spoiler alert, the Suns with the 30th pick in this mock draft a center. I'm not going to tell you anything about them. But they draft a center, and that was the takeaway that I had. But one of the things that the story provided was they had a scouting report on the player, and then they had the NBA intel and fit. And this was written up by Jeremy Wu. And I thought there was something really interesting in what he said here. So the Suns draft a center out of Creighton, Ryan Kalkbrenner. And this is what they say under the NBA intel and fit section. Quote, it seems Phoenix is due for more offseason change with whispers of a potential deal with Kevin Durant, further upending a franchise that has burned through most of its levers to improve the roster. The Suns are the type of team that might find value in hitting a figurative single or double at pick 30 with an experienced player, such as the center out of Creighton, not likely to burn a hole in their pockets considering their heavy need for depth up front. End quote. Again, a mock draft in March, it means a whole lot of nothing. This is not saying that the Phoenix Suns are going to draft this player. It doesn't mean that this is a player that you need to all of a sudden go onto YouTube and search up and find the career highlights for a 23-year-old super senior center out of Creighton. I'm not telling you to do that today. But did you see the sentence in there? Did you hear the sentence in there that unlocks this whole thing for me? That the Suns might be the team that goes for the single or the double. They may not take the swing on a prospect that has a ton of potential and has home run potential, or to try to hit a triple, or to try to hit a home run. That they're just going to try to be singles and doubles hitters. They're just going to try to get guys that are known quantities. You're drafting a 23-year-old center who's a super senior. You know what that kid is at that point. He's 23 years old. There's not a lot of ceiling. His flaws are what his flaws are. His strengths are what his strengths are. But you bring him in because you think he has a high floor. You love the floor of that player. And this goes back to a conversation that we had in hour number 1 of the program about, do we trust this front office to make the right decisions this summer? Because I agree 100% with what Jeremy Woo says here. I want the Suns, with their limited draft capital, especially picking at pick number 30, at least right now only having the one pick, I want you to hit singles and doubles. Why? Because you need to have a better bench than I've seen over the last couple of years. You need to be able to have guys. They're not going to be all-stars. They're probably not going to be rising stars or rookies in their first year making the all-star team and going out to wherever the all-star game is next year. They're not going to be all NBA players, but they're going to be solid contributors that can make up a really solid bench. That's what the Suns are missing. That is what's going to help expedite this rebuild, in my opinion. You got to get the Kevin Durant stuff right. You have to make your decision on Devin Booker. Right now, let's say they're leaning on keeping him, and then you need to build the team around him. The way you do that, hit singles and doubles in the draft. Don't go for the big swing at pick 30 and say, we think this guy has home run potential, but the floor is really low. Low floor, super high ceiling, and you take a roll of the dice. Hit singles. Hit doubles. Get guys in here that can give you consistent 15, 20 minutes a night off the bench. Not even that. You may ask a guy to give you 12 to 18 minutes on the bench every single night. But as a contributor that is trusty, that is reliable, that you know can provide something for you. Look at that game last night for the Phoenix Suns against Houston. Look at some of the names that were contributors for the Houston Rockets in that game last night. Now, they didn't have Amen Thompson. They didn't have Reed Shepherd, right? They had Aaron Holiday provide some minutes off the bench. Jeff Green gave them. I mean, they played their starters heavy minutes, right? Cam Whitmore played 6 minutes off the bench. Jock Landale gave them 9 minutes. You watch a team like Houston. Oklahoma City's a great example. Memphis from the other night is a great example. Watch Memphis. Any of those guys household names? Any of those guys that the Suns played on Monday household names? Any of them? Any of the guys that helped beat the Suns 120 to 118, household names. Jalen Wells, household name. Lamar Stevens, the 22 minutes that he provided off the bench. Cam Spencer. Scottie Pippen Jr. only because of his last name. Only because he shares a name. Cam Spencer was a second-round pick. Comes off the bench, knocks down some threes, provides 16. The Suns need guys like that. You don't need to hit home runs. You don't need guys to be superstars. But can you be a contributor for me? Can you provide me some value off the bench? The Memphis Grizzlies had all those injuries the other night. They played their starters a bunch. They had 4 guys come off the bench and provide them 20 minutes. Can you say the same thing about the Phoenix Suns? Can you? In that game, that night against Memphis, they had 3 guys come off the bench and provide them with 20-plus minutes. Grayson Allen, Mason Plumlee, Royce O'Neal. They had 4 of their 5 starters give them 20 minutes. Bol Bol only played 17. All 5 starters for Memphis gave them 20-plus minutes, and then 4 guys off the bench gave them 20-plus minutes. That's 9 guys that got 20-plus minutes. The Suns had 7. Hit some singles. Hit some doubles. That needs to be the strategy. And if you hit enough singles and you hit enough doubles and you get back the right draft picks in a Kevin Durant trade, you now have assets to move around. You create some flexibility for you. Yeah, you need to have Ja Morant. You need to have Jaren Jackson Jr., to use Memphis as an example. You got to have your superstars. You have to. But you have Devin Booker. You have to have the right supporting cast. So what this mock draft showed to me, the takeaway that I had from it, is don't go for the high ceiling guys. This offseason is so important for so many ways. You have to hit across the board. You have to retool this roster. You have to get the Kevin Durant trade right. You have to make do on all of your draft picks. You traded all those picks away to be able to make this happen. As part of that, you got some back. You have a pick this year. Yeah, it's probably going to be pick number 30. You're going to be picking in Cleveland spot at number 30. I get all that. But that's an asset that you didn't have when you started the year. You got it because you traded the 2031 unprotected. You got a pick in this year's draft. You have to do something with it. It can't be a home run swing that ends up being a strikeout. Hit a single over the second baseman's head. Put one back up the middle. Maybe if you're lucky, put one into the gap and you hit a double and you have somebody that's more than just a contributor for you. You have somebody who's a solid role player for you. That is part of this offseason being so important. That is part of this offseason being so critical for the Phoenix Suns. So, yeah, it's probably a little too early, and I got caught up in it this morning. But it was that little nugget about hitting singles and doubles that really stood out to me. And I was like, yes, exactly. That's what this team needs to do. That's part of what we have been talking about getting 10s from all the judges this offseason. Getting those A-plus grades like we were talking about in the last segment about the Cardinals. Coming up on the other side of the break, last calls from you, 480-864-1060. Your last chance to get in on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Your thoughts on anything that we've talked about here today, but also when we come back, the leftovers. All the stories that we didn't get to throughout the course of the show, pile them onto a plate, get to them to close out this edition of the lunch break. We'll do it next. KDUS AM 1060.
James Out West brings NFL, NBA, MLB, and local sports talk to you Monday night starting at 7 on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS 1060 app.
Get ready for a night of classic rock and roll on March 28th at Wekopa Casino Resort. Legendary rock band Foghat will take the stage to deliver hits that have stood the test of time. Doors open at 7 p.m. Show begins at 8 p.m. Tickets on sale now at the gift shop or WekopaCasinoResort.com. We have the best of it all. Wekopa Casino Resort, the all-new Fort McDowell Casino. Must be 21 and older. Management reserves all rights. Event is subject to change or cancellation.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, Peter Frampton. Let's Do It Again tour, June 25th, Arizona Financial Theater. Grammy winner, the one and only Peter Frampton. On sale now at livenation.com.
Hi, welcome to the IKEA Dream Bedroom event.
I've been extra sleepy lately. Glad I made it here.
You're in luck. IKEA family members save 15% on all bed frames and bedside tables.
Ooh.
Plus, free shipping on small orders over $50.
Am I still dreaming?
It's for real. Save even more with buy one, get 50% off deals on table lamps, curtains, and more.
Nice.
Shop the IKEA Dream Bedroom event in-store or online today.
Offer valid 2/19 to 3/17/25. U.S. only while supplies last. Selection may vary. See store and IKEA-USA.com/sleep for details. Restrictions apply.
The clock is ticking. Truck month at Santan Ford won't last forever. Get up to $10,000 off new 24 Ford F-150s and full-size Broncos, or $7,000 off on new Super Duty trucks, including lifted builds, courtesy of Santan Ford Customs. With hundreds of vehicles in stock and priced to sell, your next truck is at Santan Ford in Gilbert or online at santanford.com. Hurry, truck month won't last forever.
We are Santan Ford.
Restrictions may apply. Offers expire March 31st, 2025. See Santan Ford for details.
The NAIA, JUCO, small college, high school sports, and you. Listen to Vince and Friends with the Varsity Sports Show here on KDUS AM 1060, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m.
If you missed anything from the show today, you want to catch up, just download the Lunch Break podcast wherever you get your podcast. Just search the Lunch Break, and both hours of the show almost immediately available after we get out of here in, 12 minutes or so. Boom, right there. You can catch up on anything that you missed here today on the show. So just search the Lunch Break wherever you find your podcast and subscribe to us over there so you never miss anything from the show. The leftovers, piling up all the stories that we didn't get to over the course of the show. We'll start with a piece of news from yesterday that we didn't get to. So this is the ultimate leftovers of leftovers. And that is Kendall Graveman dealing with a back injury, some back tightness for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And when the Diamondbacks signed Kendall Graveman as a flyer option for their bullpen, we warned you about all the injury history that he had and the fact that he has dealt with this stuff over the last couple of years, has never really been able to stay healthy. But when he is healthy, has been really good. And this is the perfect kind of dart throw. You're not expecting a whole lot. If he suffers a setback, if he struggles, if it doesn't pan out, no harm, no foul. And this is kind of the no harm, no foul part of this, right? If he's not available opening day, okay, you have a bunch of other guys that have shown up and showed out and can be a part of this bullpen. It sucks because I kind of like the idea of a healthy Kendall Graveman and the depth that he could provide to the back end of the bullpen. I would like to have seen us see that through. It doesn't feel like that's going to be the case in time enough for opening day as he deals with that back tightness. So something to keep an eye on as Diamondbacks camp continues. I think they're supposed to play today, but there's some rain coming, so we'll see what that ultimately looks like here with spring. Does it look... I can't see behind me, Producer Dylan, because I've got the blackout curtains behind me. What? Sunny? Cloudy? What do we got going on? Does it look like it's going to rain? Pretty cloudy. Okay, so that means the rain might be coming, and we might not get some baseball in today. Because behind me, if you're watching on YouTube, you see this on a regular basis. I have two blinds that behind the blinds have blackout curtains behind them, so no light seeps in for the video version of the show. So it's always cloudy behind me because it's always dark behind me because I can't see anything back there. So it looks like the Diamondbacks, they play tonight at 6:40 against Seattle. So we'll see if that game gets in with the rain that is scheduled to swoop in to the area here tonight. Everybody is waiting on two quarterbacks to make their decision. This is probably the biggest remaining story in NFL free agency. That is where Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are going to play next season. This wild game of quarterback musical chairs continues to go round and round, right? Geno Smith gets traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Raiders. That takes the Raiders out of play. A lot of people thought they were going to be major players in free agency. What does Seattle do now that they trade Geno Smith? They're the team that goes out and gets Sam Darnold. They just made that official a little bit ago. Sam Darnold going to wear the number 1 up there in Seattle. So Cardinals fans, get ready. We're going to see Sam Darnold twice a year next year wearing the number 1 under center for the Seattle Seahawks. So that domino falls. Minnesota, who was trying very hard to bring him back, they now need to pivot. Their pivot was to try to get Daniel Jones, who they had on their roster at the end of last year. But Daniel Jones chooses to take a 1-year, $14 million deal to go to Indianapolis to compete with Anthony Richardson for the starting job there. Okay, so Indy's off the list. You now have Cleveland. You have Pittsburgh. You have the Giants. Now, Pittsburgh's interesting because Pittsburgh, they were trying so hard to bring back Justin Fields. Justin Fields not really feeling the warm and fuzzies about Pittsburgh. He goes to the Jets on a 2-year deal. That takes the Jets out of the quarterback circus. So all we have left, Cleveland, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, the Giants, perhaps the Tennessee Titans. These are the teams that still remain. And all eyes are on Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers, it appears as if they could pick and they could just wave a magic wand and make it happen right now, they would end up with Aaron Rodgers. That's what they feel like they want to do. They originally were trying to bring Justin Fields back. They were kind of done with Russ, so that never felt like it was going to happen. So their preferred move right now, I think, is to get Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers could go to Minnesota, where he has a better chance to find some success. Of the 3 teams that he's probably interested in playing for, New York, to stay where he's at, not move, play for the Giants. Pittsburgh, the respect that he has for Mike Tomlin, a good football team. But Minnesota, a team that last year with Sam Darnold won, 14 games in the NFC North? Almost won that division, almost had home field advantage throughout the playoffs, if not for losing at the end of the season to the Detroit Lions. So maybe he's interested in following the complete Brett Favre career arc and finishing it by going to Minnesota. Could make some sense. And then you have Pittsburgh, the respect for Mike Tomlin, a team that always is at least in it late. All of these teams just circling. So Rodgers, saw a picture yesterday. I don't know if it was an actual representation of where things stand for Aaron Rodgers, but it looked like he was on the beach, headphones in, just running on the sand, just enjoying the beach weather. So it doesn't look like a decision there is extremely intimate. Russell Wilson taking meetings with Cleveland. They loom large in all of this. And then is supposed to take a meeting with the Giants. So it feels like that decision isn't going to happen until at least the weekend. And this is the big storyline in the NFL. Where's Rodgers going to go? What does it mean for Russell Wilson? Who ends up with a quarterback? Who's still swimming in the quarterback waters when everything is said and done? If you're Aaron Rodgers, what team makes sense to you? If your team's looking for a quarterback, do you want Aaron Rodgers? Played better at the end of last year, but there's a lot of baggage that comes with Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of baggage that comes with Russell Wilson. Russ will be on to his fourth team after this. Seattle, Denver, Pittsburgh, now going to his fourth organization. Kind of overstayed his welcome everywhere. Overstayed his welcome in Seattle. His welcome didn't last very long, but kind of overstayed it there in Denver. And Pittsburgh, one year, they were very happy about moving on from him and going to Justin Fields. Now, producer Dylan is on the phone, and he just sent me a text. Now, it's early for this guy to be up and talking to me. But if he's there and he wants to have a conversation, I'm always happy to talk to my good friend, the host of the Sports Zoo. You can hear it here from 5 to 6. Producer Dylan, you're telling me he's there. You're telling me that the Rooster is on the phone. All right, go ahead, pot him up, bring him here. Let me talk to the Rooster. I'm surprised that he's up this early. It's 12:55. He's normally not talking to me until like 1:30 in the morning or in the afternoon, right before a show. Normally I get texts like 10 minutes before. But Rooster, what's going on? You want to talk about the Steelers? Go ahead, buddy. Let me ask you this question, because you're my Steelers guy when it comes to all things Pittsburgh. Do you feel like Rodgers would be on his best behavior there? That's the big question for me, like Minnesota, Pittsburgh, New York. Is he going to be on his best behavior, or are you still going to have the McAfee appearances? You're still going to have the circus that comes to town with Rodgers? That would be the thing that would concern me, but he played better in the second half. So I still think there's something there, and with Mike Tomlin, they're going to be good. They're going to be in the mix. So I can understand it, but do you want to take on that baggage? Yeah. That's fair. No, I get it, and that's the only reason why I think you'd be okay with it is because you trust Mike Tomlin enough and you trust the respect that he commands. I've told this story before, but a couple years ago I was down at the Senior Bowl and I got to see Mike Tomlin. He's there just watching. He's not participating. He's just watching, and 2 seconds later I turn around and he's in the middle of the drill coaching guys up. Like, that's the respect that he commands and that he brings to the table. So I get it. That's the one place where I think I would be okay with Rodgers ending up, but boy, is that a circus that you're inviting, and if things go south quickly, you saw how it worked out in New York. So, Rooster, appreciate it. It might say it could be. It could be. It's Aaron Rodgers. No, I disagree with that completely. You're looking at a team that's third in their own division, even with Rodgers. The rest of the AFC is an absolute warpath. I mean, you've got Kansas City, who's not going anywhere. You have Miami and Buffalo. You have Kansas City. Teams all over the place. And Pittsburgh's not even going to be the second best team in their own division next year. Rooster? Appreciate you calling in. Glad to hear that you're listening. I'll be listening to you later from 5 to 6 here on KDUS AM 1060. Appreciate it, Rooster. It's good to know that he's listening, though. It's good to know that, one, he's awake, because it's 12:58. Again, I told you, most of the time I hear from him at like 2:30 or 3 o'clock. So he's awake. And secondly, he does listen when he's driving around. That's great to hear. So I appreciate that from the Rooster, a perspective of a Pittsburgh Steelers fan saying that he would like to have Aaron Rodgers there in Pittsburgh. Seems like that's That's where things are going to go. That feels like it's the most likely outcome right now. But I don't know, man. As somebody, everybody knows I'm from New York. Everybody knows I'm a Jets guy. I lived through that. I would not sign up for that if I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. But you heard Rooster. He's got Mason Rudolph, though, if he doesn't get Aaron Rodgers. They signed him to a 2-year deal. There's your big storyline in the NFL that everybody's keeping an eye on. And you heard Rooster weigh in there, the Steelers fan. You can hear from him a little bit later on today. Jim Rome, though, is coming up next. He's got you up until 4 o'clock. As I mentioned, the Rooster from 5 to 6. Producer Dylan, thank you for all that you do. Everybody, have a great rest of your Thursday. We will talk to you tomorrow. See ya!